brings a lot of juice, good teammate. These are things people have said about Howard Simon in the past. He joins us on the Wester Hotline. I never said those things, but people have told me.
That's good. I don't remember you ever saying those things about me.
We saw you last night at the draft party. It was wonderful to see you as always. Good morning, Howard. Jeremy and Joe with Howard Simon.
I loved your wide receiver shirt. I'm very impressed.
Yeah,
maybe nice tonight, shirt. Huh?
Maybe tonight. We think maybe double dip at defensive tackle, defensive end could be in the mix. We'll see.
Yep.
No wide receiver in round one. Not a surprise. Instead, a guy that chases wide receivers. It's Max Hairston, Howard. So as the board was falling the way that it did, let's talk about this. The Bills' pick of Hairston. They go for corner 2, if we're going to, kind of number them that way, getting a speedy guy who is going to be, I guess they have eyes on him taking away other teams' speed receivers.
It made perfect sense, right? I mean, in terms of needs, I know you don't draft by need. You go best player available, yeah. But in terms of need, it was the one glaring need going into the draft last night, right? There were just some years you look at it and go, boy, they really need to fill one position more than any other. And it was cornerback. So it made perfect sense. I listened to what Brandon Beane said, and there's a lot of things to like about Hairston. There's a couple things. Joe mentioned one of them. He's not the biggest guy in the world, not the greatest tackler at this point in his career, but there's a lot to like about him, and it made sense on a number of different levels because that's the one spot the Bills had to seriously address in terms of finding a guy who could be, if not starter right away, someone who's going to start fairly early in his career.
Yeah, I wonder, you kind of don't know how to feel. I don't know, maybe you know how to feel about Tre'Davious White. He comes back and people are happy. Trey White's back. We love everything about Trey White. The question is, how healthy can he be? What kind of form can he be in? And when he signs, I feel like there's raising of the floor with Trey White and Dane Jackson. And we don't want to put too much pressure on Max Hairston to start right away, but Howard, I want him to start right away. I want this guy to be ready. Yeah. You've got months to go, and you would hope that he can be, a first-round pick can be ready to play because most of these guys drafted last night are going to be playing for these teams.
No, me too. I mean, I think Trey White, to a lesser extent Dane Jackson, are insurance purposes. When they signed Trey White, not one time, guys, that I think, well, there's your everyday starter opposite of Christian Benford. Don't worry about it. You can draft a corner, but he doesn't have to be ready at all in 2025. No, I think he needs to be ready. I'd like to see Hairston win the job out of training camp, and you have Trey White and Dane Jackson and Jamarcus Ingram, whoever you have back there, is depth. To me, I think Trey White's everyday playing days are long gone because of the injuries that he's had. I love the fact that he's here for two reasons. One, he can teach Hairston. Who better to learn from? Plus, it sounds like, heard you guys talking earlier about Hairston last night and his reactions and his infectious personality. Well, that is Trey White. So the two should mesh. I need Trey White to do a Vulcan mind meld with him and transfer everything he knows about playing the position to him. And if Hairston's not ready, I think it's probably maybe even a combination at cornerback of Trey White and Dane Jackson. Didn't the Bills used to do that? They rotated when Levi Wallace was here. I don't think there's a clear regular everyday starter at cornerback if Hairston's not ready come opening day.
Yeah. I looked up that first game Elam played against the Rams. It was a rotation. He didn't play any snaps on the first drive. He played on the second drive. So I don't know how much they've done that. It's kind of a reaction to Howard to the last game. Right, they have to play Elam. Benford goes out. They put Elam in, a player they clearly showed for years they did not trust. And what have they done this offseason? I mean, now they have a talented first-round rookie at that position and three guys that they trust around him at the position. I don't know. It feels like that maybe that was in their heads, is they had to play a guy they didn't trust in the last game of the year, and it really hurt them.
I think it was absolutely in their heads. Plus, if anything, if that didn't seal the deal as far as where they were going with their first pick in the draft, they obviously decided to, at this point, move on from Rasul Douglas. I know he's still out there, but he wasn't re-signed. I mean, they re-signed some guys, they extended some guys, and they didn't make a move to bring him back. So I think Elam sealed the deal, but you're looking at that game going, you had to look at that game going, well, Elam is a goner, right? There's no way he's going to be on the roster in 2025. Which means they have to find somebody to play opposite of Benford. So, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I never ruled out somebody on the defensive line because McDermott and Bean are so big on building your teams up front. And I know you guys are going to have talked, and we'll continue to talk about day two. You can lock in a defensive lineman coming off the board at some point in round 2 for the Bills tonight. The cornerback made sense. It was a pressing need.
Yeah, well, the thing about what we've learned today is it's a little board specific. Like we've pointed out, 10 defensive linemen went off the board, but they've still only taken Ed Oliver in the first round. Right. In the middle of the defensive line. Yeah. And the only other defensive lineman they've taken, interior defensive lineman, is Dwayne Carter. It's a position they have.
In any round.
In any round. They have not invested heavily in
sorry, Phillips. Phillips, the other one.
Harrison Phillips?
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but they do not invest a lot in the position, and we thought first round would be the target here, and the board falls a different way. So, the need, you want to talk pressing needs, Howard. I wonder if Bean will move up. We'll package future picks. We'll try to package a 4th or 2. I mean, your 2 4ths don't move you that much. It's like 10 spots. So if there's a run on defensive tackles early in this second round and they can't get up, I'm not saying like Bean's going to panic, but Bills fans might start to wonder, what is the plan? You don't have anything really there. And if another draft board kind of plays out and you passively miss it, I think people might get a little worried about what they're going to do with that position.
Yeah, I would be too, because I think they do need help at that position. I mean, I like Daquan Jones, but he's a free agent after next season. I'm not sure he's going to be back. And honestly, to your point about drafting, if you look at defensive tackle in recent seasons, the Bills' plan of operation has been bringing a bunch of veterans to 1 or 2 year deals and just keep changing the cast. It's Ed Oliver and then whoever. Outside of the drafting of Dwayne Carter, it's Ed Oliver, bunch of free agents. We'll keep turning that position over, which is why I think I thought they would try and get a defensive tackle last night, even though corner was a pressing need, because they haven't addressed it with a really good young player who you can lock in for the next 4 or 5, maybe beyond years. It's just been a rotation of veterans. So I would think that has to be the next biggest need for them. Yeah, you could talk edge rusher. We always talk wide receiver. I know some people talk about safety. I think they have to get a really good, promising young defensive tackle prospect who you can come in and go, we're good with Ed Oliver and this kid going forward for a number of years.
So if they do that tonight, one of the 2 picks is defensive tackle. Do you have a favorite for what the other one should be?
I mean, I'd like it to be wide receiver, some guy who runs Max Hairston fast. But
yeah, he's got to cover somebody at practice, right? I got to keep him fresh.
I was thinking what would be really cool is at training camp, when you guys are out there doing one of your shows, have you guys, the 2 of you guys, line up next to Hairston and run, not a 40, run the field, like the 100 yards, and see how much he beats you by.
Okay.
How many? Yeah, ballpark 50.
He'll beat me by 99 yards as I take one step and decide this race is over.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, better than me. I would have blown a hamstring by yard 5. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they went defense with both positions, because I know they extended Rousseau, but if you look at edge, right, Epenesa's going into the final year of his contract. Bosa's only here for 1 year. I mean, the depth chart at edge rusher is. So I honestly thought they could take the first 3 picks in this year's draft and put them all on defense.
Yeah.
Which is not, I know I could hear the excitement in your voice over that, Jeremy, but I'm trying to think like they think and not how I think. And I think, again, build your team from up front. Well, they've got some holes at defensive end that need to be fixed, too.
A lot of what you end up doing is how the board falls. I'm thinking back to the year where they didn't take Travis Etienne. They were linked to Etienne a million times. And all I really wanted was the Bills to pick with him still on the board so I could know, would you have taken that player? It's one of the things about the draft that we never really get. We never see their boards. We don't know what they would have done if XYZ. What do they do if Malachi Starks is on the board? Does he come in and go over the top of Taylor Rapp? I mean, they just drafted a corner to go over top of Tre'Davious White, who probably doesn't rate on the same level that Rapp does, but he's not off by that much. So would they have taken Starks? Would they have taken Matthew Golden? These are things like we kind of don't know. And as late as they are in this round, this is where the trade-up conversation comes in. To stick and pick means the board fell and you did what you did. I wonder how aggressive they get here. To me, that's the story of this second round as you lay out the glaring needs. 3 defensive players with the first 3 picks. I wouldn't even call that a surprise. I think that's probably normal for what expectations would be for them. Then we wonder if they could find a way to get up in the third round, or if they just kind of close up shop for the day. Because they'll be sitting there watching the entire third round, waiting for their early pick in the fourth, and I bet they'd be trying to get back in and not end tonight without 3 players picked.
I would think so. I mean, they've got 10 picks, right? What are the odds they keep all 10? Do they need to add 10? Are they going to put 10 rookies on this roster and keep all 10? Probably not. I don't know that they even need 10. So I don't have the points chart in front of me. I don't know how much it would cost to move up in round 2, or do they have enough other picks to get into round 3? But I'd be surprised if they used all the picks, and I would think, I know he stayed put last night, but his track record is when he's got a guy he likes, he does what he can to move up a few spots to ensure they get him. So I would think he'd be aggressive and do everything he can to get, even if they only make 1 pick today, I would think he's going to do everything he can to get the defensive tackle that he needs and wants.
Yeah. Anything else in the draft round 1 stick out to you as interesting? Past the Jaguars trade obviously is going to be the number 1 story today.
Well, I mean, the whole, I was watching ESPN, so Kuiper was, apoplectic about nobody drafting Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. But in the efforts to make the entire draft about Sanders have continued into today.
Yeah, and I thought he was a little too obsessed with it. But, I mean, I think I heard you guys talking about it. I think I don't think it's as much about, teams are afraid of his dad and, the swagger around the Buffs program and all that. And teams just didn't think he was that great a quarterback.
Yeah.
So that didn't shock me, although we're so used to 8 million quarterbacks going in round 1. It was odd to see the lack of activity until the Giants traded up to get Dart. I liked. I did love the Green Bay pick. I know it went over well because it was in Green Bay, but the stat really floored me that they had not taken a wide receiver in the first round since 2002. And I guess maybe when you have great quarterbacks like they did, you just grab a receiver anywhere. It really doesn't matter. But I love that pick. I think they really need a wide receiver stud, and I like that. I like Miami picking Kenneth Grant. I know there's this is a big mess at cornerback for them, and a lot of people were thinking they would go there. I think they need help on the defensive line as well. I like that pick for them. I don't know that anything else really shocked me other than not seeing a bunch of quarterbacks come off the board, but that was anticipated.
One thing to watch into the weekend. Let me know what you think about this, Howard. Joe and I have a bet. What do the Bills take first before the draft is over? A linebacker or a running back? And that, of course, leads to a follow-up question on your feelings on James Cook, who did not really come up yesterday on draft day. Yep. But, if they take a running back, James Cook's name's going to come up.
I would think they take a running back somewhere in the draft because as it stands right now, I just don't see how the Bills and James Cook agree on a contract extension, certainly not for the price he wants. Even if he comes down a little bit, I still think it's more value than the Bills are going to want to put on him. So in your bet, I would take a linebacker. I would bet they take a linebacker before they take a running back. But linebackers, of other needs that we didn't cover, linebacker. And I know Dorian Williams is here and Bernard's extended, but, Matt Milano's been dealing with injuries. Who knows how much is left with him? I think definitely it's somewhere on day 3 they're taking a linebacker. I would think it goes ahead of running back.
Yeah, I guess it does depend, too, what you think of Williams for this, even though Milano is still the starter. Because if you treat this as Milano's last year, then are you comfortable with Dorian Williams as being their will linebacker after that? And I don't know that everybody would be, even though he was pretty good. We had Chris Brown on last week, Howard, and he loved Williams' season and what he presents, the athlete that he is. But there also was there was a blurb from Adam Schefter about the Bills and a linebacker earlier in the week. So even if you like Dorian Williams, I don't think anybody would say that is set in stone. He is just the heir apparent whenever he's done.
And the other thing with running back is, again, I don't think Cook is going to be here, but I also don't think they're trading him. I think he'll be here this season. I mean, you're trying to win a Super Bowl. Keep James Cook. It gives you a better shot. So with a running back, you can just wait and draft one next year, right? That's the one position I don't think anybody is going to panic over and say, well, you got to get a guy in. He's got to get used to the system. He's got to get used to being in the NFL. It's a running back. Just go get a running back. You're deep in the backfield this year, so you really don't have to worry about it. If Cook does leave next year, then address it in next year's draft. So I'd definitely put linebacker ahead of running back and wide receiver in there, too. They're going to take a wide receiver at some point. It's just when.
Yeah.
Howard Simon on the Wester Hotline chatting about the draft. How are things with the Mets?
Shh, don't jinx it.
Oh, it's good?
That means it's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really good, but we really don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
I mean, that's a healthy little lead I'm looking at there. Just pulled up the standings. Just saying.
Would I come in? Would I say something like, "Wow, Liverpool"? Forget it.
Talk as much as you want about them.
Yeah.
Why need 1 point?
Yeah, they do. They have the kind of lead. They have a 27-game lead in baseball, 28 to play.
If I would have done this 3 weeks ago, Joe, you would have yelled at me.
No, they've had that lead for about 2 months.
Maybe a month and a half ago I would have yelled at you though. Yeah, that's probably right.
You got the point. Let's just it's April for gosh sakes. The Mets could wake up tonight and have 3 or 4 pitchers' arms having fallen off over the course of the evening, and then Alonso could run into Soto in the parking lot. I mean, it's the Mets. We don't want to jinx it.
All right. Thanks, Howard.
You guys all good? Everybody's okay?
Everybody's good.
Yeah.
Good to see you last night. Thanks for coming to the draft party. We've got another one tonight if you want to come out tonight.
I am actually
Back-to-back nights, Howard out.
I am at the Bison's game tonight doing PA work.
All right. Very good.
So, and I'll try and do Bongo Cam correctly this time.
All right. Very good. Thanks, Howard.
All right, fellas. Nice to talk to you.
Howard Simon on the draft.